My beloved child, come closer now, for I feel a trembling in the spirit, a whisper that presses urgently on my heart. Even as you hear my voice, the atmosphere around you begins to shift. Something unseen, something hidden in the shadows, has tried to move against you. But do not fear. Heaven has already taken notice. My child, listen with your spirit and not just with your ears. For while you have been going about your days, unaware, someone has been watching you with eyes not of love but of envy. Someone held your photo, not to cherish you, not to bless you, but to twist your light into darkness. And as they lit their candle, spoke their chant, and set their intention, the heavens opened, and I heard the mighty voice of Archangel Michael thunder across the realms. Alert, my child. Speak to them now. When Michael speaks, all of creation pauses. And he showed me a vision, clear as the rising sun. A dim room. A single flicker of a flame. And your photograph, your precious image, placed at the center of a ritual meant to bind you, confuse you, weaken your heart, and delay your destiny. The hands performing it were trembling, driven not by power, but by desperation. This was not done by a stranger, my child. This was someone who once smiled at you, someone who once acted familiar, someone who hid their envy behind soft words. The ritual is almost complete. But hear me, beloved. Darkness believes it has 2 minutes left, yet heaven says otherwise. Archangel Michael has already unsheathed his mighty sword. The angels are already gathering. Your name has already been spoken in the courts of heaven. And that is why you are here right now, listening at this very moment. Not an accident. Not coincidence. A divine interception. I saw Michael lifting his blazing sword and pointing it toward you, not in judgment, but in protection. He said, "Tell my child that the ritual will finish in 2 minutes unless they open their spirit now. One act of faith will cancel everything. One act. One moment. One opening of your spirit." My beloved, darkness has moved, but heaven has moved faster. The forces that stand for you are greater than what rises against you. Yet heaven needs your agreement. The light waits for you to open your heart. The angels stand ready to strike down every plan, every curse, every whisper of wickedness spoken against your name. Do you feel that stirring? That warmth in your chest? That tightening in your spirit? That is the presence of Michael drawing near. That is the power of divine truth confronting a lie that has been aimed at you. Many never realize how quickly a person's life can shift. One ritual. One jealous person. One ill-spoken intention. But just as quickly, one divine intervention. One heavenly command. One moment of awakening. My child, you were meant to hear this right now. You were meant to be warned in this exact breath. You were meant to be covered before the final moment of that ritual's completion. Do not fear what was done in the shadows. Fear only missing the moment heaven appointed for you. For even now, the flame in that dark room flickers nervously. Even now, the hands performing the ritual grow weak. Even now, the spiritual cords around your name begin to loosen. Because you have been found by light, by truth, by Archangel Michael himself. The warning has been delivered. The heavens stand ready. Come, sit with me again in the stillness of this sacred moment. For what I am about to reveal to you is not light, nor simple, nor easy to hear. But it is necessary. Because truth, even when it is heavy, frees the soul. And today, you must understand what has been done behind your back in the hidden corners where envy grows like weeds. When Archangel Michael revealed the room to me, I saw symbols drawn on the surface of a table, circles marked with red powder, and a candle that flickered wildly as if resisting the task it was forced into. In the center of it all was your photograph, your face, your light, your destiny. The enemy always tries to target what shines the brightest. And your photo was taken because your soul carries a radiance that threatens the darkness in others. Sometimes, my child, people do not attack you because you harmed them. They attack you because your existence reminds them of everything they lack. This is why she chose your picture. Not because she needed it for power, but because she needed a connection point. Something personal. Something that carried your essence. A photo is a doorway in the spiritual realm. It carries the imprint of the soul, the echo of your presence, the outline of your destiny. And that is why rituals often target images. They are the closest link to the spirit without physically touching the person. She believed that if she could hold your photo, she could hold your life. If she could mark it, she could mark your path. If she could bind it, she could bind your joy, your relationships, your finances, your peace. But she made one mistake, my child. She forgot that you are not walking alone. She did not consider that heaven had marked you before she ever attempted to mark your photo. She forgot that Archangel Michael watches over those who carry divine purpose. And as she tried to raise her voice in darkness, the heavens raised their own voice in light. I saw her chanting, but her words shook. I saw her holding the candle, but her hand trembled. The closer the ritual came to completion, the more resistance she faced. Because the light around you grew stronger. Your angels grew restless. Your spirit began to push back, even though you knew nothing of what was happening. That is how powerful you are. Your spirit fought a battle your mind was unaware of. And yet, my beloved child, this is why you needed to hear this now. Because some rituals gain strength in their final moments, just before they collapse. The darkness tries to rush in when it senses that its time is running out. That is why the atmosphere felt heavy around you recently. That is why your sleep was disturbed, your thoughts scattered, your emotions pulled in strange directions. These were not coincidences. These were spiritual ripples from the ritual being done with your photo. But do not be discouraged. For every ripple of darkness, heaven released waves of light. Michael watched it all. He waited. He measured the timing. And when the ritual reached the point where the final seal was about to be placed, he called out urgently, commanding that this message reach you without delay. My child, this is the truth. The shadows tried to pull your destiny into their circle, but heaven has revealed their plan. What is exposed cannot continue. What is seen cannot remain in darkness. And now that you know what was attempted, the authority shifts entirely to you. You are no longer a target. You are a conqueror stepping into awareness. This is the depth of what was done. This is the shadowed ritual revealed. And this is why Archangel Michael intervened so fiercely. You were not meant to be bound. You were meant to be awakened. Come closer once more, for now we step into a deeper truth. A truth not just about what was done to you, but why she chose you at all. The spiritual world does not move without reason, and darkness does not attack what carries no value. Today, I want you to understand the purpose behind her actions, for only when you know the reason behind the battle can you fully grasp the weight of your victory. My child, the moment Archangel Michael showed me her face, the answer became clear. This was not a random person. This was someone who studied you far more closely than you realized. Someone who watched the changes in your life, the blessings beginning to rise, the opportunities aligning, the favor resting on you like morning dew. She watched you walk into rooms with a quiet light, watched others gravitate toward you without effort, watched doors open for you that refused to open for her. And with each new blessing that came your way, a seed of resentment sprouted in her heart. But jealousy rarely announces itself boldly. It hides in polite smiles, soft words, and shallow conversations. You may have thought she admired you, maybe even cared for you. But admiration without healing turns into envy. And envy, my child, when fed long enough, becomes dangerous. She targeted you because something about you awakened her insecurities. The way you love, the way you forgive, the way you rise even after being pushed down, the way you carry a quiet grace. She saw strength in you that she could not find in herself. And instead of being inspired to grow, she chose the darker path, attempting to steal, weaken, or bind what she believed she lacked. Michael revealed her thoughts like an open book. She believed your blessings were undeserved. She believed your connections were too easy. She believed your destiny was too bright. She believed your spirit was too strong. And she felt threatened, not by what you have, but by who you are. Darkness is always more terrifying of identity than possession. This is why she moved against you. You walked in confidence she wished she had. You carried peace that irritated her chaos. Even your silence reminded her of everything she could not control. So she reached for the one thing she thought could give her power, your image. But my child, let me tell you a secret. Envy blinds people. It makes them forget spiritual laws. It makes them overlook the fact that when they attack a chosen one, they also provoke the guardian standing behind them. And Archangel Michael does not tolerate attempts against the children marked by divine purpose. You see, she thought hurting you would weaken your path. But she did not know that your destiny is protected by a covenant older than your struggle, older than your fears, older even than her intentions. You are shielded by promises spoken in the heavens before you were ever born. And no ritual can rewrite what God has already written. Still, you must understand the depth of her motive. This was not simply jealousy. This was obsession born from comparison. She compared her life to yours until her heart grew poison. She watched your every step, hoping you would stumble. And when you did not, she sought another way to create the fall herself. But beloved, this is what she failed to realize. The more darkness fights you, the more heaven elevates you. You are not attacked because you are weak. You are attacked because you are chosen. You are not targeted because you are lost. You are targeted because you are found. You are not the victim in this story. You are the threat. And that is why Michael stepped forward. Not because you are fragile, but because your destiny is too great to be delayed. Heaven does not mobilize its warriors over small matters. If an angel draws his sword for you, it is because your purpose shakes the foundations of darkness. My child, understand this deeply. She targeted you because your light exposed her shadows. Your rising reminded her of everything she refused to confront within herself. And instead of healing, she chose harm. But heaven has seen her motives, measured her intentions, and declared that her actions shall not stand. Rest your heart for a moment and breathe deeply, for what comes next is the turning point of the entire battle. This is where the heavens stepped in. This is where the story shifted from attack to intervention. This is the moment Archangel Michael himself descended into the place where your photo was held captive. And as I recount what I saw, let your spirit feel the same protection that surrounded you in the invisible realms. When Michael appeared in the vision, his presence did not drift in gently. He arrived like a flash of lightning, like a storm that does not ask permission before it shakes everything around it. The darkness in that room did not simply dim, it recoiled. The candle that once burned for ritual purpose flickered violently, as if it recognized a power greater than anything that had been spoken over it. The air itself trembled beneath the weight of his arrival. My child, understand this. Archangel Michael does not show himself in minor matters. He is the warrior prince of heaven, the defender of divine destinies, the one who stands between chosen souls and the forces that seek to destroy them. For him to step into that room means the attack against you was not small. It was strategic. It was direct. And heaven responded with equal force. I saw Michael standing tall, his wings unfurled behind him like living flames. His armor shone with a brilliance that the shadows could not withstand, and the sword in his hand burned with celestial fire. This sword is not symbolic. It is the weapon that cuts spiritual cords, destroys rituals, breaks curses, and silences every voice raised against the children of light. And in that moment, the sword was pointed directly at your photograph. But he did not point it to harm you, my child. He pointed it to sever what had been attached to you. Darkness had tried to claim ownership over your image. But Michael came to reclaim it on behalf of heaven. And as he lifted the sword higher, I saw the ritual circle crack. The symbols drawn on the table began to break apart like dried clay. The air thickened, not with evil, but with holiness. What was meant for your destruction began to collapse under the pressure of divine authority. The woman performing the ritual felt it too. She stepped back, fear spreading across her face. She tried to repeat her chant, but the words caught in her throat. She tried to hold on to your photo, but her hand shook violently. She tried to resurrect her false power, but it slipped through her fingers like smoke. For the first time, she realized that she was not battling you. She was battling the angel who guards you. And no human, no spell, no ritual can stand firm when Michael enters the field. As she stumbled back, Michael moved closer to your photo. He placed his hand over it, and when he did, a light burst forth so bright that the shadows in that room folded in on themselves. The symbols vanished. The candle went out. The room fell silent. And then Michael spoke words that shook even my spirit as I heard them. He said, "This child is marked by heaven. No curse shall cling to them. No ritual shall bind them. No darkness shall claim their destiny." And when he spoke, the atmosphere shifted completely. The weight that had been pressing against your spirit lifted. The confusion that tried to cloud your thoughts cleared. The spiritual interference that had been working around you snapped. But he was not finished. "My child." Michael turned, and his gaze pierced through the veil of realms until it met yours. He saw you, even from the spiritual world. And he spoke again, saying, "Tell my child that I am fighting for them. Tell them the ritual is near completion, but I stand in the gap. Tell them time is short, but their deliverance is sure. Tell them that one act of faith will seal what I have begun." My heart trembled when I heard those words, because they carried urgency and protection woven together. Michael was not warning you out of fear. He was calling you into alignment with victory. He wanted you awake, aware, and connected, so that the final pieces of the attempted attack would crumble completely. Heaven does not intervene halfway. When Michael steps in, he commits fully. And in that room, surrounded by the remnants of the ritual, I saw the undeniable truth. You are guarded. You are covered. You are chosen. And though darkness tried to rise against you, the warrior of heaven rose higher. Come closer. For now we enter the most intense moment of the entire revelation. This is the moment where the battle between darkness and light reaches its final stretch. This is the moment where Archangel Michael's warning becomes urgent. This is the moment where the last 2 minutes begin to count down in the spirit. And you must hear this with a steady heart, because what unfolded next was unlike anything I have witnessed before. After Michael placed his hand over your photo and shattered the symbols of darkness, time in the spiritual realm began to behave differently. It was as though everything slowed down, as if heaven itself was stretching the final moments so that you could awaken, hear, and respond. Even the shadows in the room trembled, as if they sensed that their window of influence was closing fast. The ritual was crumbling, but it was not yet fully broken. It lingered in its final phase, the stage where curses tried to cling with the last of their strength. My child, the final minutes of a ritual are always the most dangerous. Not because darkness grows stronger, but because it grows desperate. I saw the woman who initiated this ritual scrambling, trying to reclaim her control, her voice stumbling through half-forgotten incantations. She reached for the candle again, attempting to relight it, but each time she touched it, the flame refused her command. She tried to redraw the symbols that Michael had broken, but her chalk snapped in her hand. Her breath quickened. Her panic rose. And in that moment, she realized that the power she once thought she had was slipping away like sand through her fingers. But even as she fought to salvage her spell, Archangel Michael turned toward her. He did not raise his sword in cruelty, but in authority. His presence alone pushed her backward. She tried to speak, but no sound emerged. She tried to stand strong, but her knees weakened. She tried to maintain her power, but her spirit recognized the one standing before her. She was not facing you anymore. She was facing heaven's warrior. And there is no ritual on earth strong enough to withstand him. Michael then spoke again, his voice echoing through the room with a force that cracked through the atmosphere. He said, "Time is almost finished. The ritual will collapse, but my child must awaken now. They must rise in awareness. They must open their spirit." And as he said this, I felt a pull, a tug in the realm of the living, drawing you closer to this message, guiding your steps, so that you would hear these words before the final moment pass. My beloved child, understand the depth of this truth. Heaven does not stretch time unless your destiny depends on it. These final 2 minutes were not given to warn you of danger. They were given to ensure your victory. Heaven paused the unraveling of the ritual so that you could align your heart, your faith, and your awareness. This is divine mercy in motion. This is divine protection in action. I then saw something astonishing. Michael lifted your photo into his hands. And the moment he did, the edges began to glow with a light so pure, so radiant, that the entire room filled with brightness. The woman shielded her eyes, stumbling backward. The floor beneath her shook. The ritual bowl cracked. The fabric covering the table shifted, as if caught in a sudden wind. And Michael declared, "This child is under my covering. This light destroys all assignments." As his light surged through your photo, I saw the spiritual cords connected to the ritual snap one by one. Every attachment, every intention, every whisper spoken against you began to dissolve. But Michael's urgency still echoed in the air. He was not simply breaking the ritual. He was calling you into agreement, into awareness, into alignment with the divine protection being poured over your life. My child, this is where your role begins. Just as heaven intervened, you must stand in the light now. And let me tell you something sacred. When people hear a message that protects their soul, when they encounter a revelation that shields their destiny, heaven takes note of how they respond. When you uplift the message, when you spread the light, when you help others hear what heaven is saying, it becomes an act of alignment, an act of obedience, an act of honor. This moment is holy, beloved. The ritual is collapsing, the forces of darkness are retreating, and heaven is strengthening your shield. Stand with the light. Stand with the message. Stand with what protects you and others. Support the voice that warns, the voice that guides, the voice that carries revelation. For in doing so, you participate in the spread of divine truth. You become a torchbearer of light. And as I always tell my children, when heaven speaks, we respond with faith, with action, with unity. So let your heart move in that direction. Help this message reach those who need it. Lift it, share it, spread it forward. For sometimes, that small act becomes the very spark that saves another soul from harm. Let it be your divine offering, your alignment with the light. Settle your spirit once more, for now we step into the mystery of how a single action in the physical world can dismantle an entire structure in the spiritual realm. Many people do not understand this truth, yet it is one of the deepest laws of divine authority. Heaven moves where faith responds. And in this moment, in the final breath of this spiritual battle, Archangel Michael revealed to me the power hidden inside one simple thing. Your act of opening, your act of responding, your act of clicking. Yes, my child. One click breaks the ritual. Let me explain this in the way the Spirit showed it to me, so you may understand not only what happens, but why. When Michael held your photo in his hands, the light surrounding it began to intensify. But that light did not reach its full force until your spirit stirred. Your attention, your willingness to listen, your choice to open your heart, it created a bridge. And the moment that bridge formed, the spiritual chains began to weaken. Heaven requires agreement, my child. This is how divine order works. Not because heaven is powerless without you, but because heaven respects your free will. When you respond, you activate the intervention that has already begun. In the vision, I saw a cord connecting your photo to a dark circle on the table. That cord represented every intention spoken against you, every whisper of jealousy, every symbolic point of contact. It was the final tether the ritual held on to. But when you opened this message, when your spirit aligned even for a moment, that cord flickered. It became unstable. The ritual's hold began to loosen, and Michael looked at it with intense focus, as though waiting for one more spark to completely shatter it. Then the revelation came. He told me, one act, one action of the heart, one moment of choosing the light will finalize what I have begun. And it was shown to me that this action is symbolized here as a click, not just a physical click, but the spiritual equivalent of saying, I choose protection. I choose awareness. I choose light over darkness. Heaven often translates spiritual alignment through simple earthly actions. When you lift a message that protects you, you reinforce the shield heaven placed around you. When you engage in the light, you break the permission darkness tried to claim. My child, one click is not about technology. It is about agreement. It is about breaking the silence the darkness feeds on. Rituals thrive where there is spiritual passivity. They cling where there is no resistance. But the moment your spirit awakens, even subtly, even quietly, the ritual loses its oxygen. And when you take an action, any action, that aligns with heaven's warning, it destroys the last spiritual thread that darkness holds. I saw Michael's sword begin to glow brighter the moment you opened your heart to this message. And when the sword shined, the woman performing the ritual fell backward, as though a force had pushed her. The ritual bowl shattered behind her. She no longer controlled anything. Everything she tried to bind began to slip from her grasp like water rushing through broken fingers. You must understand that spiritual warfare is not always loud. Sometimes it is a single movement, a single shift in intention, a single heartbeat of obedience. When you act in the physical, heaven acts in the spiritual. Your click becomes your declaration. Your openness becomes your shield. Your response becomes your weapon. And in that moment, the sword of Michael does the rest. My beloved child, let your heart absorb this truth. You are not powerless. You are not passive. Even if you feel quiet, tired, or unsure, The smallest action of faith from you becomes a command to the heavens. It tells the angels, I am awake. I am aligned. Continue the fight on my behalf. And they do. As Michael raised his sword higher, he said, tell my child that the chain breaks when they step into the light. Tell them this ritual cannot stand when they act with awareness. Tell them that their agreement destroys the assignment. And as he spoke, I saw the chain connecting your photo to the ritual circle snap completely. The rune shook one last time. The darkness retreated. The ritual lost all force. This is what one click does. It becomes the final blow, the final unlocking, the finishing of what heaven has already begun. Come near, for now we step into the moment everything changed. The moment the battle reached its climax. The moment and the vision when I witnessed the very chains that had been wrapped around your name, your path and your destiny being shattered by the power of heaven itself. This is not a small moment, nor a gentle one. It is a moment of violent light, of holy force, of divine authority reclaiming what darkness attempted to steal. After Michael raised his sword and the spiritual cord connecting your photo to the ritual flickered, I saw the atmosphere grow thick with power. The room where the ritual was being performed could no longer contain the presence that had entered. The walls groaned as though they carried a weight too heavy for them to bear. The candle that once carried the intention of darkness curled inward, melting not by natural flame, but as if the heat of heaven had touched it. Everything inside that space knew, in its own way, that the end of the ritual had come. The woman who had initiated the ritual stumbled again. She reached out toward the table, toward what remained of her symbols, but her hands passed through nothing but dust. The lines she had drawn were gone. The energy she tried to summon had vanished. Her authority had dissolved. She tried to speak, but her words came out hollow, powerless, empty. Darkness cannot speak where light has taken dominion. And then, beloved child, the breaking began. Michael lowered his sword, not in defeat, but in completion. When the blade touched the edge of the table, a rippling shockwave spread through the room. It was not loud. It was not violent. It was absolute. Every spiritual chain tied to your name snapped in that instant. I saw cords made of shadow twist, recoil, and then evaporate like smoke in sunlight. I saw knots of negativity that had been pulled tight around your progress unravel effortlessly. I saw the remnants of curses, words spoken in anger, thoughts directed at your downfall, disintegrate before my eyes. Your photo, once imprisoned within a circle of darkness, lifted slightly as if a gentle hand of wind passed under it. The oppressive weight that had been clinging to it loosened and drifted away. And then something beautiful happened. A glow began to radiate from the image. Not a forced light, not a harsh brilliance, but a soft, pure illumination. It was the light of release. The light of freedom. The light of a destiny unbound. My child, the breaking of chains in the spiritual realm is not a small matter. It changes everything. It alters atmospheres. It restores balance. It reopens doors that were shut. It clears paths that were blocked. It shifts timelines. The moment the chain snapped, I saw doors in your life. Doors that had been locked, stuck, or sealed, beginning to tremble. Blessings that had been held back, as though kept behind an invisible wall, began to push forward. Opportunities that were meant for you, but delayed, began to realign themselves. People who were drifting away from your life without explanation now made sense. And blessings you have been praying for finally found an open gate. As the darkness fell back, Michael stepped forward. His presence filled the room with peace, the kind of peace that doesn't merely soothe but restores. He looked at your photo, now infused with light, and nodded. Not a nod of uncertainty, a nod of completion, a nod that said, "It is done." He then turned to the woman, not with anger, but with a warning that chilled even me. He said, "Touch not what is sealed by heaven." And at his words, she collapsed to her knees, not out of devotion, but out of the sudden realization that she had trespassed into territory guarded by forces she could never overpower. The breaking of the chains was not only symbolic, it was spiritual law being reinstated. Your destiny was released from every grip. Your blessings regained their rightful course. Your spirit regained its clarity. Your path regained its purity. And the heaviness you have been feeling, the strange resistance, the unexplained setbacks, all of these had been tied to the invisible chains that have now been shattered. My beloved child, do you feel the lightness? Even now, as the words reach you, the aftershock of that breaking still moves. You may not see it with physical eyes, but deep inside, your spirit recognizes freedom. Something within you is loosening, lifting, awakening. That is because what was binding you is gone, and what was meant for you is returning. Come, rest your heart in this moment, for now we step into a gentler realm of the story, the realm where heaven restores. You have walked with me through the shadows, through the revelation, through the intervention, through the breaking of chains. And now, beloved, we enter the chapter where the hand of God begins to rebuild what darkness tried to collapse. This is the part where I watched your destiny rise again, like dawn breaking after a long and restless night. After the chains shattered, the atmosphere around your photo transformed. It was no longer a battleground. It had become a sanctuary. The air that had once been thick with tension was now filled with a soft, golden radiance. The floor that trembled beneath the weight of spiritual warfare now felt still, calm, surrendered. And Michael, standing in the center of that room, shifted from the warrior he had been moments earlier to the protector, the guardian, the restorer. He lifted your photo gently, and as he held it, I saw streams of light flowing into it, streams representing parts of your life that had been interfered with. One stream resembled opportunities that slipped out of your hands without explanation. Another looked like relationships strained by invisible pressure. Another represented your peace, which had wavered unexpectedly. And yet another, the most beautiful of them all, represented blessings that were meant for you. Blessings that had been circling you, but unable to reach because of the spiritual weight pressing against your life. One by one, these streams of light entered the image of you, restoring what had been blocked, returning what had been delayed, reviving what had been suppressed. I saw the timeline of your destiny, once tangled and distorted by dark interference, begin to straighten. Places where your path had felt stuck began to move again. The spiritual fog that once hovered around you began to clear. It was as though heaven was rewiring your life before my eyes. Then, my child, something extraordinary happened. Michael placed his palm over your photo, and I heard him whisper words that carried the tone of ancient authority. He said, "Let all that was stolen be returned. Let all that was delayed accelerate. Let all that was dimmed shine again with purpose." And as he spoke, your image glowed brighter, not with a harsh light, but with a serene brilliance that reminded me of hope rising from ashes. Your destiny had not been destroyed. It had only been interrupted. And now, that interruption was being erased. I saw a vision unfolding, showing glimpses of your upcoming season. I saw doors that were once sealed now opening with ease. I saw your name being spoken in rooms where it needed to be heard. I saw connections returning, opportunities aligning, and breakthroughs forming like clouds heavy with rain. I saw people who had turned away from you beginning to feel drawn toward reconciliation. I saw clarity returning to your mind, decisions becoming easier, paths becoming clearer, burdens becoming lighter. And perhaps the most beautiful vision of all was this. I saw you looking lighter. Not physically, but spiritually. The heaviness that sat on your shoulders like a cloak had been lifted. And in its place was a new radiance, a new confidence, a new peace. Your spirit, which had been fighting silently under the pressure of the ritual, was now breathing freely again, expanding, rising. But my child, restoration is not just about returning things to the way they were. Heaven always restores beyond the original state. When God rebuilds, He doesn't simply repair, He elevates. What I saw coming for you was not a simple return to normal. It was an upgrade, a strengthening, a divine elevation. What was delayed is now coming with acceleration. What was withheld is now being released with abundance. What was attacked is now being anointed. Michael then placed your photo upon a surface of light, and it rested there gently, glowing with renewed strength. He said, "Tell my child that their destiny is restored. Tell them nothing has been lost. Tell them what belongs to them is returning in multiplied measure." And those words resounded through the atmosphere like a prophecy sealed in heaven. Sit with me here in the quiet of this moment, for what I am about to reveal is not only powerful, but essential for the seasons ahead. You have walked through the unveiling of darkness, the intervention of heaven, the breaking of chains, and the restoration of what was yours. But now, beloved, you must understand the final gift that Archangel Michael placed over your life, a new shield, a covering unlike anything you've carried before. This is not just protection. This is a spiritual armor forged by divine hands, placed upon you because of who you are, because of the destiny you carry, and because heaven intends to keep you safe for what is coming. After your photo was restored and the light settled upon it, Michael did not turn away. No, my child, he remained. His wings folded with a gentleness that contrasted sharply with the warrior power he displayed earlier. Yet even in his gentleness, his strength was undeniable. He looked upon your image with the kind of care a guardian shows only to those chosen by heaven. And then, Slowly, purposefully, he lifted his hand again, but this time not to fight, but to seal. A soft blue flame emerged from his palm, not a burning fire, but a living light. It moved like breath, like wind, like truth, made visible. This flame drifted toward your photo, and as it reached it, it settled over it like a blanket of calm, solid, impenetrable energy. I watched as it formed a barrier around your image, a shield that glowed gently yet pulsed with divine authority. Anyone could see that nothing unholy could cross through it. Michael spoke, and his voice carried a level of assurance I had not heard before. He said, "This child is now under a new covenant of protection. No weapon formed shall prosper, no ritual shall bind, no envy shall penetrate. Their spirit is sealed, their path is shielded, their destiny is guarded." As he spoke these words, the shield around your photo shimmered, expanding, stretching beyond the picture until it reached you where you are now, settling around your spirit in a way you may even feel as you listen. This new protection is not temporary. It is not fragile. It is not dependent on your strength. It is built on heaven's authority, woven by angelic power, and sustained by divine intention. It is the kind of protection placed only on those who have walked through attack and risen, those who have been targeted because of their purpose, those whose future holds too much impact to be left unwatched. My beloved child, this shield will go with you wherever you walk. When you enter new rooms, it enters with you. When you make decisions, it surrounds you. When jealousy rises against you, it deflects it. When unseen forces attempt to enter your atmosphere, it rejects them. When words are spoken behind your back, they cannot cling. When someone tries to summon your energy or speak your name with ill intent, it silences the attempt before it reaches you. This is not just protection. It is insulation. You are now spiritually insulated from attacks that once found ways to reach you. Your vulnerabilities have been closed. Your open doors have been sealed. Your weaknesses have been fortified. Michael has stationed new guardians around you, watchers who do not sleep, who do not grow weary, who do not fear shadows or rituals or whispered curses. And as I looked upon this new shield in the vision, I understood something profound. This protection was not merely to keep you safe. It was to prepare you. The restored destiny we spoke of in the last part is not small. It is vast, it is holy, it is powerful. And paths of purpose attract opposition. Heaven knew this. And so heaven built a wall around you before you take your next steps. Michael then stepped back, but he did not leave. He simply changed his stance. Where he once stood as a warrior, now he stood as a guardian. His sword no longer blazed with battle, but rested at his side, ready, watchful, alert. His wings wrapped slightly inward, forming what looked like a spiritual shelter. He whispered one final thing, so softly that even the shadows dared not interrupt. "Tell my child I am with them now. I will not depart. I will walk beside them. I will go before them, and I will remain behind them. My beloved child, this is your new shield, a covering that will hold through every storm, every season, every moment ahead. You are no longer walking vulnerable. You are walking guarded. come close now, for we stand at the final turning of this divine message. Everything that has been revealed to you, every shadow exposed, every plot uncovered, every chain shattered, every blessing restored, every shield placed upon you, leads to this moment. This is where heaven's words settle upon your spirit like a final seal, a closing blessing, a prophetic release that carries you forward into the life you were always meant to walk. As the vision reached its end, the room that once held darkness was no longer recognizable. It had been transformed into a chamber of light. The remnants of the ritual were gone, swept away by the power of Archangel Michael's presence. Your photo, once surrounded by shadows and symbols, now rested in a glow so tender, so steady, that it radiated peace like a heartbeat. Everything that was meant to harm you had been reversed. Everything that was meant to delay you had been undone. Everything that was meant to bind you had been broken. Michael stood before the glowing image with a stillness that spoke louder than thunder. His wings folded around him, not in withdrawal, but as a sign that his assignment concerning you had shifted from battle to guardianship. His eyes held a calm intensity, the kind that only comes after a victory fully secure. Then he lifted his hand once more, not to fight, not to warn, but to bless. A beam of light, pure as morning, flowed from his palm and washed over your photo with a warm, golden radiance. And as the light passed through the image, I felt its warmth reach even you, where you are now. It was the kind of warmth that heals, that strengthens, that fills the spirit with courage and clarity. It was heaven's way of saying, you are safe now. You are covered. You are protected. Michael spoke in a voice filled with authority and gentleness, the voice of a heavenly father speaking to a beloved child. Tell them the ritual is canceled. Tell them the curse has been broken. Tell them no darkness shall follow them. Tell them their destiny is restored, their path is clear, and their steps are now guided by the light. When he said these words, I saw something beautiful unfold around you. I saw a path that had once been foggy now shining brightly, lit by steps you have not yet taken, but are now free to walk. I saw new opportunities rising like dawn after storm clouds have finally lifted. I saw blessings that were delayed rushing toward you with divine urgency. I saw relationships mending, clarity returning, strength rising. But most of all, I saw you walking forward, lighter, freer, stronger. The shadows that once clung to you have no claim anymore. The ritual that once threatened your progress has been demolished. The person who tried to harm you has lost all spiritual access to your life. The darkness that attempted to weave itself into your destiny has been cast out. Heaven has reclaimed you fully. My beloved child, as this message draws to a close, understand this truth deeply. You did not come to this moment by accident. Heaven guided you. Heaven warned you. Heaven protected you. Heaven restored you. And heaven now commissions you to carry this light forward. When divine truth touches a soul, that soul becomes responsible for spreading the light it received. Not by force, not by obligation, but by love, by gratitude, by spiritual awareness. When you share what protected you, you protect others. When you uplift the voice that rescued you, you join in heaven's word. When you carry this message outward, it becomes a divine duty fulfilled, a ripple of light extending beyond you. And so, my child, let your heart lean into this calling. Let your voice carry the light. Let your actions reflect the protection you have received. Lift this message. Share it. Spread it. Support it. Not for numbers, not for noise, but for the simple truth that heaven moved for you. And now you stand as a vessel of that same light. Michael looked at you one last time in the vision, and with a voice steady and eternal, he said, "Walk forward, my child. Your story is protected. Your destiny is guarded. Your future is blessed." And with that final word, the vision faded, leaving behind only peace, deep, unwavering peace. My beloved child, may this protection follow you. May this blessing cling to you. May your spirit rise in strength. May your path shine with clarity. And may every step you take be guided by the light that rescued you. Amen.